We are live, sir.
Shall I start?
Yeah, good evening all. Good evening to everyone. Request Dr. Ram Prabhu, General Secretary of Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine, to brief about today's webinar. Ram Prabhu, please.
Good evening, all. So it is my pleasure to welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor of Kerala Veterinary and Animal Sciences University, Professor Dr. Emma Sasindranathan, for today's webinar. He is one of the senior most ISVM member, and he is also a fellow of the Society for Veterinary Medicine. We requested him for giving a lecture. He readily accepted to give a lecture on the recent topic. In spite of his busy schedule, so today's topic is on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on veterinary education. It is a need of the hour. As an administrator, we will elaborate more the impact of COVID-19 on veterinary education and discuss the issues elaborately. We are eagerly awaiting to hear more from the Honorable Vice Chancellor regarding this impact of COVID-19 on veterinary education. Welcome, Honorable Vice Chancellor, for today's webinar, and I also welcome all the participants who are registered for today's webinar. Finally, I welcome one and all.
Yes. Thank you, Ram Prabhu, sir. Today, I would like to introduce about today's speaker. I am very happy to be a life member of Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine. I really appreciate the activity of Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine, where society is organizing webinar on the topic which have immense importance in field of veterinary medicine, and considering the importance of current corona pandemic. Today we have again distinguished speaker with us who is delivering webinar on current status of veterinary education in this COVID pandemic. Today we have Dr. Sasindranathan sir. He is holding position of Honorable Vice Chancellor of Kerala Animal Sciences University, Pukkot, Kerala. Sir was earlier served as Director, Academics and Research of KVASU and National Consultant, Food and Agriculture Organization, Central Emergency Response Fund Project. Sir completed his PhD from Tanuas in year 1994. Sir has over 35 years of professional experience, which includes over 20 years of teaching and 11 years of administration. Sir is a fellow of National Academy of Veterinary Sciences and Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine. Sir is a recipient of Bharat Ratna Dr. C.B. Subramaniam Award of ICAR for outstanding teaching during 2004 and 2005. I request sir to deliver his webinar. Dr. Sasindranathan sir, please. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Galdar. Good evening to one and all. Dr. Noril, Honorable President ISVM, Dr. Ramaprabhu, Secretary ISVM, Dr. Galdar, Dr. Nilesh Sindhu, Dr. Sujit Kumar, Dr. Shankar Kumar, and my dear fellow participants. Really, I am privileged and happy to address our veterinary fraternity on this particular topic, especially under the present situation of the COVID-19 pandemic on veterinary education. See, here really I will be just sharing my experience on veterinary education in Kerala Veterinary and Animal Sciences University, and with in comparison, certainly it will be better, or maybe having some university will be having better chances or circumstances, and but most of the university might be having some of the problem because of the sudden lockdown, and we were forced to enter in a period of dullness or inactiveness, and all our activities has gone down. And not only in this, not only in veterinary education, all of us know that the entire scenario all over the globe has gone down. So let us just think about how we can come out this, especially in the veterinary education sector. And I'm just sharing some of my feelings, some of my observations and in this. I'm sharing just 1 minute. Yes, please. Impact of COVID-19 pandemic on veterinary education. So I'm just showing our university headquarters. It is in Wayanad district of Kerala. It is high range district, and it is you can say it is a center, tourist center, and I think most of some of you might have got opportunity to come here and enjoy this district headquarters. So whenever, of course, this all this COVID situation will go back, and we will reach a situation where we can have a better education and all. And so you all of you are welcome after the COVID situation to Kerala. Yes. See, in the history of human history, for the first time, the entire generation of the children globally have had their education disrupted. This is not only with respect to veterinary education, it is also with respect to the entire education in global. This is a global scenario. You know that why this has happened. We had our this previous pandemic of Spanish flu in 1918. A century back, but at that time this wouldn't have happened because of at this moment, because of the faster movement of the population across the globe, the transmission of the disease also has happened, and now we are suffering as a result of that. Since December 19 it started, and now it is only for a few months it has spread all over the world, and it has resulted into the infection in more than 1.4 crores of people. And human death, mortality KCF for around 6 lakh. So this situation is entirely dangerous, and WHO has warranted that this condition will continue for some time if a suitable vaccine is not developed. And in the present situation, it is also predicted that nearly more than 2 lakh of cases will be reported daily in India from January or February 2021, unless a good vaccine is invented or available by then. So this is a situation where we are living. Yes. Now, what impact COVID-19 pandemic? I'm coming directly to this subject of veterinary education. It's not only restricted to veterinary education, but even other subjects like dairy, poultry, all other animals and their activities, even agriculture. This is applicable, and they are suffering. So we usually used to have this conventional classroom teaching. And we have, in most of these cases, we have practical training, most important thing as far as a professional course is concerned. And as a part of our mandate, we have research, we have extension. And as a classroom teaching or theory or practical, we have to conduct examination, evaluate the student, assess the student. Along with that, we used to conduct extracurricular activities. Then certainly our administration and financial position of the universities are also affected due to this COVID-19 pandemic. So we all are, as I mentioned earlier, we all are passing through a very difficult situation. Then, now we'll just see one by one what had happened. See, March 24th, 2020, lockdown has been declared by our Honorable Prime Minister for 2 weeks. Then, at that time, all of a sudden, we all were forced to close university offices and colleges. all other centers under the university. And not only in the university, I am restricted to this university. All over, you know that it is applicable to everywhere. And the conventional, our conventional teaching affected, research affected, office work affected, as far as university is concerned. Then what happened? Hostels closed, students sent to home. And even at that time of leaving the hostel, none of us thought that this will continue like this for a long period. So thinking that we will be back, the students also didn't take much of their belongings and their even the books, and they are without books at their home at this moment because of that particular moment they were forced to leave the hostel. And for few days, we all were sitting idle and we are not thinking about online classes and all. But when we observe that the condition is not improving and it is likely to extend the lockdown situation, we forced to start online teaching. We forced to start the online teaching, and of course, theory portion we could start, practical, clinical, and farm all affected. So that was one situation what had happened. Okay. So we started by first week of April, 6th April, we started. We thought that it is high time for us to start online, and we sent circular to all our faculty and students also that we are going to start the online teaching. And because by that time, majority of our they started online teaching already, and we insisted that we need not wait for any lifting of the lockdown and all. Let's just start online teaching, and they started from April 6th onwards. All the regular timetable teaching started by online post theory portion. So here, what constraint we experienced, though we started online teaching, you know that all of a sudden happened. Of course, nowadays we are using newer ICT tools for videos, PowerPoints, and so on. So that part of our teaching we are used to it, and most of the teachers, faculty, they have that, but they are not familiar with 10% teaching with the online content. They were not trained, or you can say that of course they use some of the PowerPoint, some of the videos, but they were not familiar with online content preparation and teaching. So that was one constraint we experienced on our teaching. Then another problem, what I think most of the places all over India, we can expect this internet accessibility. Some of the remote places, the high-speed internet accessibility may not be there. In Kerala, we faced one problem, what we faced accessibility. Then another problem what we had, the digital infrastructure available with the students and faculty. Of course, faculty they have, but students, lack of device, that is one important point, laptop and smartphone, etc. But 99% of the students were having smartphones. But all of us know that it is not that good for attending classes and all, but our students manage, and from their feedback, we could understand that they are managing it, no problem. But some of the families, multiple children in one family led some problem, because the whole system of education started with online classes. So classes started simultaneously, only with one device at a particular family. So that was another problem, feedback given by the student. So we gave some other alternative for them. We started recording, and they can download later, and they can, according to their convenience, they can continue. So that was our another hindrance or the problem. But we got feedback from the student. And around, I already told that a smartphone is there with most of the students, but laptops, only 25% of students having laptop. And again, this is another problem, but the students experience financial burden on students and staff. So of course, staff we forget the students. Students because the data cost for this data, especially the live streaming classes and all, know they consume more data, and that has become a financial burden on students. And continuous teaching, online teaching also them. And you know that it has been observed by or directed by some of the study centers that the students are up to 9th standard, 8th standard should not have more than 1.5 hours of online teaching. Students 9 to 12, 3 hours of online teaching. But above they can have 5. So continuous online teaching also will not be that good as far as students are concerned. So this is one. Then some of the solutions what we felt and what we suggest, because in the days to come, even after the COVID period, we will have to have online teaching as a part of our teaching program. And some of the scientific studies also reveal that efficient teaching to have a hybrid form or blended form of the teaching. So that will be useful and better than 55. If classroom teaching gives 50-55% efficiency, if you incorporate this online teaching or using these ICT tools and all, the efficiency goes up. That is a finding, and we have to, because any time any contingency will come, and in future we need not bother about such things. Should not happen. We pray for that, but at the time we must be ready to face any such calamities, and it should not affect our education. So faculty development program on online teaching is a suggestion. It is a suggestion. FDP on online teaching, how to make content, how to present, how to use. That is another thing. How to use. We have this, and we have this online program, and once we start it, in between something happens, the faculty is not in a position to correct it and move forward. So we must give the training for the faculty to handle this modern ICT tools. And this is another providing devices to weaker and poor students. This most of the this is a situation, but students never reveal. So we have to conduct survey. What we did in our university, we conducted surveys to our students union leaders, and we found the such and such students are not having, and are in the track. Our university has taken a step to collect the money for providing such access to the eligible, deserving candidates. So our NGOs can do, university can do. Even our university, we during 2014, we used to give laptop for all those PG students who enroll for master's degree, but master's and PhD degree. But that we stopped. We were forced to stop because of this problem. And another problem, another thing, solution, what we have to do now, internet accessibility is a problem. Survey and identification of area with poor internet connection and action from service providers. So this has to be taken by the government sector, and because education is most important thing what we to give the society. So certainly this internet accessibility we have to increase by increasing the bandwidth and the high-speed internet access. So this is one thing, another important suggestion. But then another thing, as I mentioned earlier, students may not be in a position to attend the online class when the class is going on. So especially because of the previous points, because of the internet accessibility and lack of and so on. So there we will have to record the classes in a suitable format, and we have to upload those things in the university website. Each university is having various ways and YouTube channel, Facebook page, and so on, and the website itself. So if we are doing this, certainly the students, whenever they are free, they can download and they can study the material. So easy retrieval of the perspective time and connectivity. Do not stick onto the class time. So for all these things, we should have a safe and user-friendly online platform. So for these infrastructure changes for the content creation, recording, creating online modules. Now we have different online modules, and conduct. This is a very important thing. Today morning, our ICR, under the leadership of DDG Agarwal ji, a webinar was conducted on the learning management system. And I'm happy to say that our ICR has extended a helping hand to all the universities wherever they want support, and they approach ICR. They are ready to provide all help in the management system. So that we have to use. Then video conferencing facility in the campus, of course, this must, if it is there, well and good. And we fortunately we were having that video conference facility in KVISU, but unfortunately due to this need of our some lack of expertise, and it is not functioning. So we are forced to depend on the other tools. And the uninterrupted power supply is another area where university must take care. And university paid platforms with expert IT personnel. This is very important. We need to have integrated university management system, IUMS, and this is a university paid platform. Started 2014 onwards, 14-15 onwards, and we were having nearly 38 modules for different purpose. But at this moment, academic, finance, and are functioning very well, and all other are not to the expected level. But this teaching platform, we were having a video conferencing as a part of that, but some has gone wrong, and it is not. So university paid platform with IT experts must be there, and that's what I mentioned, that IT expert, you must make our faculty also familiar with all these ICT tools. So that is very important part in the days to come for our organization, ICR, NAM, and all training, to make our faculty self-sufficient in the content making, content creation, recording, then handling of online tools, and all and so on. At this moment, we are using Zoom, Google Classroom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Cisco, WebEx, etc., etc. And everything is going on. And at a random, I used to attend the classes. I just collect in advance the classes to be held on for 1 week. And at random, I used to enter the class, and I used to attend this, how the teacher is handling the class and how the students are interacting and so on. It is going on, and I get feedback from the students. And last day we had a meeting, webinar with the university officers and the students from the field, and most of them are happy, and they are able to follow our online classes, and they had some concerns, and all those concerns we could. So already I mentioned that even after COVID period, at least we should have a section of our teaching on online. And of course, the face-to-face teaching, our conventional teaching, classroom teaching is a must, no doubt about it. Online also we have to have, and to face the contingency. And mandatory, and before that, see, nowadays the MOOC courses, the government and ICR and all agencies are encouraging universities to start up MOOC courses. And I'm happy to say that our Chancellor, our Honorable Governor Arif Mohammed Khan ji, conducted a Vice Chancellor's meeting last week, and he completely assessed what is going on in various universities. We have nearly 14 universities in Kerala, and difficulties and problems, and how we can solve it, and all such things being we discussed, and we have provided, and he is also helping us to certain issues with the teaching, and newer and newer courses are also we are handling. And this is what we failed to a great extent. I can say that under training, this is the area where we failed, because online theory portions, of course, we could do. But here, hands-on trainings affected. For example, routine laboratory techniques. See, each subject has got a laboratory practice as for our VCA syllabus. or ICR syllabus. So because the laboratory is there and the teacher is somewhere and the student is there, so we were not in a position to conduct the practical. And naturally, the clinical training, students are missing the clinical training. But we have sorted already this clinical training using the local regional veterinary hospitals and all. Wherever nearer hospital to their house, they can go and attend. Such a system we have developed. Then farm training is also another area where our students are missing, and the dairy plant training for as far as the dairy students are concerned, dairy plant training and value-added production. Again, meat technology is another area where our students are exposure. That means, or feed mill, even feed mill. AVISU is producing feed for all our farm animals for different categories, and we are supplying throughout Kerala for our government farms too. So our students are exposed to this, and they are missing for the time being. Of course, certainly we will be in a position to sort it out, and we hope that they will get the exposure later. At this moment, because it is continuing, and even since no vaccine, no daily the number of cases of COVID is increasing, so we have to expect that some of this will continue. As WHO already mentioned, that it is likely to continue for a few more months. So till that time, this type of training will happen. And so the same thing what I have just mentioned is here, practical hands-on training in laboratory, clinics, farm, dairy, meat, feed plant, effective. No alternative suggestion at this moment. Internship training affected. So this is another area where because our students, this lockdown came March 24, and our students were supposed to complete their internship in the field by April 10th or so. So they were forced to go back because the students are distributed all over Kerala, and the students were forced to go back to their house. So those some few days training was deficient. So we directed the students after a few days, after 1 or 2 extensions of the lockdown. We felt that it is not fair. These students are about to go out, and we should not make them victims of lockdown. And somehow we had to finish. And we contacted all the environmental department, and we arranged it. The students were directed to complete the internship training in the nearest polyclinic or the hospital or government farms to their house. So they completed their internship, and they had their internship vibe also. Now they are out. So this we could somehow manage. And again, the same case with the dairy students also in plant training arranged at a nearby Nima dairy plant. And again, this is going on, and the development of online clinical-based learning platform. So this is another area where we have to think about, because our other subjects are there. Not only hospital training or plant training or meat plant training, we have other also. So like all of the subject practicals we have to conduct. So here we will have to think about based self-directed veterinary cases. We have to record cases from A to Z. Then another method is virtual patient simulators designed to help students clinical practice used presently in human medicine. Our Kerala University of Health Sciences is effectively utilizing this virtual simulators. So we can think of, we have to think of the development of virtual simulators in veterinary education too. And of course, for solving all these problems, in order to sort it out, we are following, of course, our ICR and YVCI. They are periodically, they are Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Husbandry. They are also sending us guidelines for forward movement of the courses, and to take a lenient view of the courses will be in the COVID period. Of course, this is one about that simulation platform for the patient, which is being used effectively in medical practice, and which we also think of. This is our video conferencing facility at KuCode. And I just mentioned that we had a connection with all our campus. But unfortunately, at this moment, this is, though we are having infrastructure and we are at it to get it rectified. This is our veterinary college KuCode video conferencing. Practical, this is suggestions for conducting practical, and we cannot replace 100% to our hands-on training in the clinic, laboratory, farms, and all. So to some extent, by using the above mentioned parameters or methods, we can. And we have to think about preparation of video banks for transmission to students. So this is it's a must with regard to all subjects, starting from anatomy to medicine and surgery. So this part is very important to make a video banks of practical sessions. And another thing is subscribing video journals like the Journal of Visualized Experiments. So this is also, of course, we have to think of, and we have to use this facility. Developing simulation system, I already mentioned that the software wherever applicable. So they started using in human medicine. So in veterinary medicine, so might have started. I am not aware of it, and this is another possibility for improving the practical session. Now I am coming to another important area, the research. Research is a mandate of all universities to have teaching, research, and extension. Research is completely stalled. All of a sudden, one fine morning, government is declaring complete lockdown and directing to vacate the hostel. Students are sent home. The faculty as well as the non-teaching and all except the farm laborers, all are sent back. So you know, all of you are in the field of research. You are suffering from this. All of you. I have seen the so many PG students are and the junior faculty are there. So research is one important thing which is affected adversely. And so many research material in transit could not be delivered. They could not go to the field. They are not in a position to go field and collect the material and do the research. And experiments, so many experiments are halted in midway. And they are, because of the lack of material and because of the lack of the sufficient manpower, because of the laborers and all assistants were sent back, so no manpower. And they store all these samples stored some time lags and electricity because of electricity failure. Because of the electricity failure, all these samples spoiled, and you know that we have to keep cell culture, parasitic, or microbial, different each depending on the researcher. Different things we have to do. Daily supervision is needed, and which this lockdown has led to an abrupt of all this, and all these students are in a very difficult situation. Research, and this is another problem. What we are going to face: financial liability continue or to restart the experiments. There is another problem, and what we did, our extension department in between, they conducted a survey. On with the research. They sent a questionnaire, different college, and nearly 115 research colleges responded to the survey, and all of them, majority, nearly 82% of them responded, and they told that it is effective. And they want extension, of course, extension of time for the research. Of course, our ICR, our controlling agency, they agreed for that. And then they wanted the extension of fellowship too, because they have to stay back and they have to get it. So that the university has to take decision and what to do and how to do. And government also has got the role in deciding all such things. And nearly more than 50% agreed that at the end of for the analysis of the research work, it will be better. More than 50%, 50%, 52%. Agree better. So this is just in between the this extension. And the suggestion. So what is our suggestion is, sir? Research should be equated to other essential services. Research should be equated to other essential services. Because if it is declared as an essential service, certainly the students and the supporting staff will be available or will be permitted to stay back at the hostel and to continue them. So the results, we should not spoil our research program. So it has to be equated to other essential services. Animal husbandry activities already our Kerala government has equated, or the central government also equated with an essential service. And so this is very important. And even Chancellor's meeting, I have requested our Honorable Chancellor to consider this or to declare it as essential service. Research of all PG, PhD and faculty should be declared essential. So that our government is taking a positive step. And at least in future, we will be getting the benefit of that. And another problem what we face, even if we are allowing them to stay, we should have, especially under the present situation, we have to follow the COVID protocol. Under COVID protocol, we should have the social distancing and sanitization procedure and mask there, and also all such activities. So separate accommodation facility in future. Most of the premier national institute will be having PG, PhD, all this facility with the bath attached room and all. So separate accommodation for all of the universities must be there. So that should be another. So there should not be any such a calamity. But if any such event or calamity comes, certainly we will have to think about accommodation. So here onwards, we have to think and construct such things. And another thing is initiation of regional university research center. This is what we are doing. This is the main difficulty. Take Tanuvasa. They are having, most of the district, they are having UPRC. Good and very appreciating initiative from the Tanuvasa. So we, in Kerala, if you take the example, we have our presence only in 5 districts. Only in 5 districts we have our presence. And the rest of 9 districts we are not having. So that is what we are trying to have more centers in each district, so that we can direct our students, research students, to that nearest, that regional university research center or district research center, so they can continue their research program in such calamity in future. So this is another suggestion from our request to our government also. And now, I was telling about the classroom teaching, practicals, then research and all. Now, the ICT interventions we have to think about, and already I have mentioned all those things. And the feedback from the field, we could understand survey. We could understand that the majority of students have access to smartphone, and the internet accessibility is in remote area is lacking. So this has to be taken care of. And our for full 100% effective transmission of online teaching, we should have fully functional IT cell with competent staff to be established in each university. So that is where most of us are lacking. And of course, we are having competent staff in other categories. For example, non-teaching. So many I have taken as list of teaching, non-teaching staff who are competent to handle this IT cell. And I could get nearly 30-35% qualified and working as a office assistant and all. So what we are in the process of making a fully functional IT cell using the service of this competent staff. And in addition to that, we can recruit a fully qualified IT exclusively for that purpose. And the user-friendly online platform to be developed by the help of government. So this is a very good request what we have made. And of course, today we are happy that our ICR DDG Agarwalji has come forward with that learning management platform system. and offering all universities, and I think that all of us have to use and then general suggestion for teaching and pedagogy. Online teaching tool to be included in our system. That is even post-COVID period, and we should have a hybrid or a blended form of the education. For that, we should have more teaching tools for faculty, teachers to be trained in the method of content development of online education, and measures to ensure a seamless integration of classroom learning with the e-learning modes. So this is the classroom teaching and e-learning mode. This is a must. Even today morning, ICR was also post-COVID ensuring a bit of online mode teaching. But already I mentioned that we have to include. This is what I already suggested, and they must be to handle latest ICT tools, both for effective online teaching and examination. That's another important area coming. Infrastructure facilities have to be strengthened to conduct an online program. So this will come naturally once the IT cell is and once we get a good platform, and once our faculty get training on our FTP program. Now, library. Regarding library, I think it is the only area where it's not much affected, because even ordinary days, even pre-COVID period also, we could see that students and faculty, the physical presence, visiting the library, and referring has come down, and most of them are not attending the hospital, the library. They say, sir, already everything available in our net, in my mobile. But still, the use of a hard copy and our textbooks, it is still something great which we have to. But there is a general tendency among the students visiting library only for taking. No, they are not bothered about it. But they are also correct to a certain extent, because now our most of the universities are connected with e-content, and most of the agriculture university and veterinary university, they are members of a consortium of e-research in agriculture sponsored by ICR. So the students and the staff, they can log in from their home, so they can refer, and nearly 3,000 journals are available. Nearly 3,000 journals are available in the library. So naturally, that is not a problem. They can refer, and funds and facilities to be increased, because we have to buy more e-books, and we have to go for digitalization and all such activities. We need fund, and our ICR is providing fund, and even the government is also providing, and we are using our own revenue for this purpose. Now, coming to the major, one of the important area, conducting examination and the declaration, UI assessment and the declaration, result declaration. Majority of the external examinations were completed for lockdown. Not much. This is our ABISU situation. I think since we all are following VCI, most of the universities in the state, and only I told that only 10 days internship was left behind, that we could conduct, arranging with the local veterinary hospital. And the question papers from external examiners, we used to invite through online, and that's not a problem. We are getting it. And we have seen that in one of the report, we could see that over 77% of the colleges and universities are conducting online examination for the first time. So all are new to this. And the university, our university, we are having nearly 2022 technology-enabled digital program since 2014. So we are used to conduct that online examination for those students. So now we could conduct the internship comprehensive Viva OC for this final year batch, and from 26th June to July 1st week. and that is over, and we could declare the result within 1 week's time. And all internal assessment, because the junior batch of students are coming up, and the internal assessment, we have 2-3 internal assessments, and that is the time for that. And we are online Viva, online assignment, online subjective, objective type, and following our technology-enabled distant program method. So that can be done, and examination can be done online. And but again, here also we should give training to our staff and student, because the undergoing mock training we used to give for this students for undergoing the online examination, because it is time-bound examination. So they have to stick on to that rules. They must understand how to appear, how to write, and how to meet the next. So what we have done, we have given training for the teachers as well as students for conducting online. So this is the paper report regarding our university conducted final Viva online. So this is same thing. PhD credit seminar. This is another area. Credit seminar, defense seminar. All we are conducting online mode. So most of the universities are also doing that. So that is not a problem. Theory examination, the internal examination, for that we are giving assignment or subject. And this is again the practical examination for the junior batches. This is another problem. Practical portion we could not conduct, and we will have to think effectively how to. This particular batch, as per the guidance for the ICR and VCI, it can be a little bit lenient and conduct, but we have to conduct. We should not conduct the examination and all for the practical or the formality sake. We must be very serious, and but declaration also not affect ongoing students. And such suitable online examination software to be provided, but certainly this learning management system also they have. Good today we could see that they have good method software for this online examination, and we are in conducting and collaboration. This is another thing. We in Kerala Technology University and Cochin University of Science and Technology and Digital University, we started last month. We could inaugurate another university, Digital University in Kerala, that is 14th University. So during Chancellor's meeting, these universities agreed to provide all collaborative help for installing all such for digitization of our university. Not only digitization for this education sector, in all administrative side also we are in a process of collaborating with the universities, and we are also trying to collaborate with our veterinary university, agriculture university. Our parent Kerala Agriculture University is also helping us a lot in tiding over such problems. And see, this declaration, after conducting the final Viva VOC examination, I just inquired about the performance of students, faculty. And our faculty was very happy to say that, see, most of them were performing excellently, comparing their performance in the campus. So they probably they might have studied well, because they are undergoing this examination or Viva VOC and all in front of their parents. So they studied very well, and it is not a problem. And his faculty is very happy that the students are studying the portion and undergoing the examination. This is another area where our education system that is online admission and so this is not a problem at all. Problem online admission, online payment of fees, and of course in between we used to conduct one offline entrance examination. So that is the main problem, and our admission and all, even BBSc admission, it is extended up to October 30% on. So we have so many other courses also along with this, and so for that KVSU used to conduct the entrance examination. So offline, so they must be present in physical presence must be there, examination and all. But since the number of candidates are comparatively less, we thought of having offline entrance examination. But now the condition is changing. Day by day, the number of cases are coming up in Kerala. especially in some of the districts. So now we will have to rethink about these entrance exams. Only 20 marks, 20 or 30% marks entrance exams. So we, in that case, we will have to think alternate method to in addition to instead of this offline entrance examination. So we are thinking of that, and we expect we will start classes for the next batch also by October last 2020. So admission process will not be a problem because online, even otherwise, we used to get our application form, everything online. So that will not be a problem. This is another hostel residential facility of students and staff. Already I have mentioned that we were forced to send the students home, and at present all infrastructure not conducive to ensure social distancing. So all our final year students in all degree classes, they are requesting us to please start the classes, and we are missing our period and all. So we had meeting of universities office, and we reached a conclusion that it's a government decision, government guidelines that we are following. And once we start final years of all the courses, hundreds of students will be there in the campus, but we have to provide them the facility to stay. So at this moment, we are not in a position to provide the hostel because government has to permit. Second thing, now the cases are going up in Kerala, like any other place. So now most of our hostels and facilities handed over to government and these revenue authorities. And today, just now, I got a call from Bhukod and Bhukod Lectum. Today the sub collector has come and they have intimated that tomorrow onwards the COVID patients are coming, not patients, but the under people are coming to our hostel. So there is no question of opening the hostel and providing facility for the final year students, even though that. Then suggestions, both diary veterinary are a residential program. Veterinary care is an essential service, and provision has to be made for the students and staff to stay back. So this is our suggestion in future. Natural calamity like COVID comes up, or Kerala for the last 2 years we had 2018 and 19 we had a severe flood, and we were forced to close down everything. But at that time it was only in Kerala, but now COVID is in their world. So this problem is there, and problem for the students and staff, and even our staff, as well as faculty, as well as office staff, 50% staff, they are supposed on alternate days. Government has given a guideline, and we are following. So that is a situation going on with regard to that. Then this is another routine interaction of the university fraternity, extracurricular activities, etc. See, routine interaction of university fraternity, it includes faculty, then non-teaching staff, then libraries, students. So here, see, in some cases, even the students, they are under one study. I could understand that the students, as well as faculty, because of they are completely isolated to their home, no public interaction, nothing. So most of them, so many cases of depressions are reported. So the suggestion is there's a formation of a virtual discussion group. Of course, we have at this moment WhatsApp, Instagram, and so on. Different platforms are there, or the modes are there. And so, and nowadays, it's a flood of webinar series everywhere. So such things are organizing such things and attending such things, and even students. They can attend this webinar, and also even I think this webinar is also being attended by so many students, and they are getting certificate for that. So that will be useful for future. So, and students are also encouraged to practice exercise and yoga. So this is what we are doing, and of course, since we have a very good gym facility and all with our, all our most of the campus, and yoga is also one of the important thing, and it's good for health and all of us know. And we have uploaded a video on yoga, how to start, developed by our university team, headed by Dr. Kantanathan. Is a very expert in yoga, and he is giving yoga training to all the faculty, teaching, the students. Even students are not there in the, but even these days also he is giving the training, and he is Dr. Kantanathan. Yoga center and this auditorium where they conduct yoga. And this is another important point where we used to, veterinary education, we used to conduct so many seminars. We should conduct a workshop, exhibitions, camps, farmer advisory services, etc., etc. All affected, all were affected. We are not in a position because of the physical, keeping social distance, physical distance. And the university responded by initiating webinars. So, but we must thank COVID-19 because of this COVID-19, we were thinking to conduct World Zoonosis Day has come. World Zoonosis Day, every year we used to conduct so many other activities, classes, vaccination camps, and so many things and all. And this year we cannot do that because of this COVID protocol. Then we thought of why not we conduct webinar, and we started a webinars for the farmers, for farmer webinar, nearly 2022 webinar series from 3rd to 30th June we conducted, and through our Facebook and YouTube channel, it is reported that more than 1 lakh farmers even from abroad participated in that webinar series, and they clarified and doubts, and they are very happy, and they wanted more and more webinar series, and that we are doing now at this moment also. And 16 international webinar for scientists and students from 6th to 8th July 2020 on occasion of World Zoonosis Day celebration. This we invited international speakers, and it was also well appreciated, and 100%. I think the world organization must give some appreciation for this type of question, and we are conducting such a webinar series. So COVID-19 has made us to make such a webinar series. Now we are continuing that, and it's the advantage. Another advantage, they need not waste their time. They need not waste their money to particular place and attending physical attendance. And here they can sit at home and they can attend physically without going to that area, and according to their convenience. The only thing is the organizers should see that the webinar is conducted for, especially for farmers, a convenient time for them. So that is what we are doing, and COVID-19 has made us to reach this online webinar series, and we are conducting, and it is one good thing what we could achieve, because this confidence was not there before for our even faculty to conduct such things. It has to be explored. Online method to design a new technology that we are doing, and the creation ICT enabled group, which this is also now a group of faculty who are interested as well as competent formed in our university, and they are doing all such. I think the same will be there in most of the universities. In most of the universities, even LUAS. Yesterday, I was talking to Dr. Milish, and he was explaining the thing what they are doing at LUAS, even using IUMS. And these are some of the institutions or the names of Malayalam. So, regarding the farmer seminar on all our faculty did this, and they appreciate it. So the farmers, they demand more and more such webinars. An administrative office function. No need to tell that it is completely affected. Most of our programs affected. Even our convocation was fixed on 28th March. 28th March. Unfortunately, this happened. Lockdown came on 24th March. So that was affected. Our students were very eager to attend this convocation and getting their degree. But now, again in Chancellor's meeting, I have pointed out that if possible, allow us to have virtual convocation. So that by assessing this present situation, I don't think that in the current academic year, we will be in a position to assemble together and have the conventional convocation. So we have a virtual convocation outside our Chancellor's office, and we are awaiting suggestions. And training of non-teaching staff on paperless. So the e-governance. So certainly we are as a part of this in 2014, we introduced in integrated university management system IUMS, and the same IUMS which is implemented at LUAS and in Ahmedabad or Danjivada, they are using such a problem. We face some problem with this admin this IUMS, but we are able to use out of 38 modules only 2 modules we are using at this moment, academic as well as finance, and so we are rectifying all those simultaneously with the help of ICR and our government. We are in a position to have a separate IT cell, and without that IT cell and handled by us, it will not be possible to move forward. The networking between various campuses also need to be strengthened, and for that necessary infrastructure to be developed. I think most of the will be having this function, and e-governance in the various sections. Students from weaker section, I already mentioned difficulty or internet connectivity and insertion. And so we will have to in the needy for the needy students, we will have to provide this devices and even prepaid the students. Previously, we were having some students data plan and all, and such things we will have to think, or we will have to provide financial support for such a weaker students too. And this is another area where we could do something. And I have mentioned that in the farms, meat and dairy plant, sales counter, and all, even clinics and all, we could not give the training to the students. At the same time, none of these centers closed. None of these centers. The beginning, March 24th night, we were running because complete lockdown. Nobody is allowed to move out. Restricted movement. We have all these units of our university, and our revenue authorities they are not giving any permission to this. And we were to make them understand that these all are essential services. Even at one point of time, our authorities were telling you reduce your farm stock. You reduce your farm stock, then we will give a few laborers to come and overnight reducing thousands of animals in the farm, and so without knowing the ground reality, they were. And we did our level best, and they allowed us 50% of the laborers, not even 50, 30% of the laborers to run this, and this. The meat plant and the dairy plant, farms we have to feed water, milk. Otherwise, the milk what we are getting from all our farms have to go to the dairy plant. Then from dairy plant pasteurization, they just be sold out. So our sales counter has to open. So somehow we could make our authorities understand. Authorities from the revenue department understand that this is the situation. These units must be considered as essential services. And it was in one way it was good because none of our farms suffered. Meat plant activity, though it is reduced, meat was being produced, and the dairy plant all products, mostly product, value added product produced, but milk was the whole milk was sent to our sales counter to the public. Those days, all shops, everything was closed. Only our sales counter was catering the need of the public. So we could, in that way, we could serve our society by providing all this material. Reduce number of laborers permitted, minimal work, but all essential work border cutting and feeding, milking, all such activities, slaughtering, essential minimum essential slaughtering was done, and then the reduction. So ultimately, what happened? The reduction in the internal revenue, because we are also depending on for our routine expenditure for our internal revenue, but certainly that has come down to a great extent. Then veterinary hospital, our all hospitals were working with a minimum staff, and in the initial days of our lockdown, we were attending only casualty and emergency case. All other health checkup and vaccination, everything postponed. But university hospitals were delivering this healthcare service to the public. But now that was in March. Now last month, unfortunately, one of our staff contracted COVID, and we were forced to close that particular city hospital. Now after that, it is disinfected and started again. We started attending only casualty and minimum essential cases. And the field hospitals, although they are also referring to the so number of cases are more coming. Now all essential cases are coming, and we provided uninterrupted veterinary care except this quarantine period because of the COVID contact by the assistant. And in addition to that, our health during this COVID period, during the last lockdown period, we could help our one of our Malaysian friend. And he used to, this Malaysian hospital, particular hospital, they used to have the technical consultancy with our university. And they had a problem with a miniature picture in Penang, Malaysia. And see, we could guide the tele-guided surgery was conducted in the Penang, Malaysia from our Pukod, Wayanad. And this is our Pukod KVS team of surgeons headed by Dr. Surya Das. They guided surgery via online live streaming. They were guiding, and this dental the right side of the team of Malaysian surgeons headed by Dr. Shibu Sulaiman, and followed this instruction, and they could save that pup. And after 74 days, they said that, and it is all right. So we could do this online guidance also for surgery. We appreciate the. This is all what I talk, and a lot of things there on the other side also, which you can share during our interaction period. And I once again I thank the organizers, and especially Noriel Saab and Ram Prabhu and all other organizers of the webinar for giving me this chance. And again, I'm inviting post-COVID period to KVASU. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you again. Sir, there are 4 to 5 questions, and I have picked up some common questions from the audience who attended the webinar, sir.
Yes,
there is
please.
one question from Binay Thapa and Meenakshi Singh, sir. They're asking, what about the students who have poor internet access, and what would be your suggestion as far as the teaching institutes are concerned, sir?
Students more intellect asset, you mean?
No, poor internet connection, sir. For example, remote villages and other things are there.
Internet connection.
Yes, sir.
This more internet connection. There was no problem. Your no internet connection, or is it no internet connection or more internet connection? So,
Sir, it is poor internet connection.
Poor internet connection. Poor internet connection. Our suggestion is we have directed all our faculty to make this class in Word form or PDF form, upload in the university. We have a YouTube channel or the university or a Facebook page of university, or even our web there to upload, and the students can later they can download it in a convenient place, and they can That is the only thing. And government, of course, to the government side, we have already provided or proposal has been given for increasing the internet connection by service providers at that particular area. That has to be done by field level. That government has to take action. But in our side, the students may not be in a position to attend the current class. So if we upload those things, they will be in a position to later retrieve, and they can later have their class. That is our suggestion. This is what we are going to do. Then,
Am I audible, sir?
yeah, audible, please.
Yeah. Again, sir, there is one question from Sujit Kumar. How online methods be followed for conduction of practical examination, sir?
That is a major problem what we are facing. Practical examination, you know that we have to do. So that part is what lacking. And even clinical training, of course, we have decided to allow our students to attend near wherever they may be, go to nearest hospital. We have already made a discussion with the director and hospital, and they are helping us, so they can go. But the laboratory examination, we will have to find out some source. But in clinical case, that virtual format is coming up. In animal human side, they are using. But in veterinary side, we will have to think about that. But in the other laboratory, for example, you go to biochemistry or physiology lab, practicals, online conducting and online examination. I think professional courses that will be a problem, and we will have to think about allowing them in batches of small groups and stay observing all COVID protocol. Then allowing our university laboratory and do that. Other than that, I don't think any other possibility of online practical examination.
Okay. Again, sir, there is really one interesting question from Dr. Jatin, sir. He is willing to ask, what about the cyber security threat which can arise as a result of ongoing online mode of teaching? And what is the backup plan for such a threat, sir?
See, for this, answer has to be given by an IT professional. This is a very good, interesting question. I am not that competent to the answer. And if the concerned student or the faculty gives the email ID, I'll let him know that what is the answer for that. I am not competent to the answer for that.
Okay. Again, sir, there is one question from Tapan Kumar Das, sir. What will be the rate of professional degree, our professional degree, education as COVID-19 pandemic and online education is concerned, sir?
His concern is 100% correct. I also see, being a professional course, not only ours, all professional course. I think medical final year students and all are supposed to attend their hospitals and all. But in our case, we will have to see that if this situation continues, on such a professional degree, final year students must be in a position to attend the clinics, and they must be competent before leaving the institution. So otherwise, our degree, the value of our degree, their competency, everything will be questioned in the days to come. So anyhow, we don't think that we hope that we will get a suitable vaccine soon, and everything will come okay, normalcy will come, and we will have to return to our previous days. So otherwise, he is correct. It will be very difficult to think about the competency of that certificate. Yeah, please.
Again, sir, there is one suggestion from Dr. Balaji Ambore. As like our NARM and other things, sir, it means very good as far as the development of the e-content and other thing is concerned. Can our university deploy some sort of or explore the technical team for support of such development of e-teaching material and assessment of e-teaching exam and other things, sir? Can any such type of things they are in pipeline currently or in near future, sir?
Yeah. See, even today morning, I was mentioning, ICR DDG Sab has conducted a meeting, and in that learning management system, and it carry everything, content management, even NAM, they and university has to approach ICR, and certainly they extended all help in this. So it is there in the pipeline, learning management system, and even previous to COVID also, this type of trainings were held. But those days, though we were undergoing such training, nobody was very serious about it. Go come back, but they never practice it. They never like any other training workshop going on in our field. They go so many goes for so many trainings and all. They attend it. They come back. They never, a minor percentage may be doing, but majority they are for the sake of certificate they are attending. So in now everyone realize now it is a need of the hour. Such trainings are there. We will have to attend and we will have to implement. Certainly, ICR is also helping. Yeah, please.
Yes. Again, sir, one question from Dr. Rajkumari Mandakini, sir. We are doing this education other thing. Anything beyond this e-education is there, sir? We can think for this COVID and other things, sir. Any additional resources for veterinary education apart from this e-teaching, sir?
See, veterinary education, you know that we have our uniform syllabus all over India, and we have their set of syllabus and their method, theory, practical, method of assessment, evaluation, and all. In this online teaching, theory portion, we are doing in a better manner. Practical portion, we are not. So, anything beyond this is, as I suggested, we will have to think about, we can think, we can hands-on training for the student. We can send them to nearest veterinary hospital, nearest to farm, nearest dairy plant. We must have understanding. The university and concerned departments must have understanding. And just like we sending students for internship training in various institutions, we will here also we will send the student. And practical part or the professional part, we can have some such suggestions. But with regard to our the basic subjects like anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, then go for the paraclinical subjects. Then clinical subjects, okay, we can. But these basics and the paraclinical subjects, I doubt we'll have to develop videos and all those things and that virtual simulators. Such things, that is the only thing in the present thinking. Other than that, anyhow, all inventions are coming when necessity comes. So we will come out with the newer and newer ideas, and certainly we can expect more. But at this moment, what I can say, these are the things what we can think of, and we can move forward.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Sir, again, last question. Sir, all this Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine, all we are clinicians, we are working in the topic, sir. As a supreme authority, sir, as it means head of institute, sir, head of the university, what suggestion or direction will you give to all our practicing veterinarians as far as the working style is concerned in this corona pandemic, sir?
Yeah, certainly. See, like human medicine, veterinary medicine is also equally important, and most of the government even here also it is considered as essential service in Kerala, and all over India it is like that. And at this moment, observe COVID protocol. You need not deny any service to anyone. You have to accept them, and you follow COVID-19 protocol. That is very important of physical distancing and sanitization, mask wearing. And you please insist that thing to the client owners too. Because here what we face in our hospitals, most of the surge of the clients, they come, they never obey the security and all. Sometimes we were forced to call police to make them. We used to attend all cases, and so give. And at the same time, please see that in this time of emergency, essential cases, emergency cases, let them attend, because let us attend, because to avoid our social transmission, avoid social transmission. In Kerala, the social transmission is going on, and most of the places are going on. So, follow COVID protocol. Do not deny any service. If anybody comes with, they are coming, tell them and give their service. And you yourself also take precautions. One of our veterinary colleague from a field contracted the disease. And she has undergone quarantine and undergoing treatment, but not vaccine. And somehow, a small second, she was exposed to that honor. So my suggestion is, please don't deny service, accept service, and do that, obey, follow the COVID protocol. So,
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Really, your lecture was, it means, informative, and all the audience today who have participated in this webinar, they have really enlarged all, that means, important thing, and veterinary education as far as the current pandemic is concerned, sir. Thank you very much, sir. At the last, I would like to request Dr. Dheeraj Kumar Gupta, sir. He is an executive committee member of Indian Society for Veterinary Medicine, to propose the vote of thanks, sir. Dr. Dheeraj Gupta, sir, please.
Good evening to all. I'm Dr. Dheeraj Gupta, Associate Professor, Veterinary Medicine, Gadwasu, Ludhiana. Privileged to present vote of thanks. I, on behalf of ISVM, thank today's speaker, Dr. Sasindranath, the Vice Chancellor, Kerala Veterinary University, an eminent scientist, and our honorable member of our society, ISVM, for enlightening us with such an elaborative and comprehensive practical lecture on effect of pandemic, COVID pandemic on veterinary education. Sir, this will really help us in framing policies regarding research and teaching program. And the students will also be benefited as they will prepare themselves for future challenges. Sir, I thank you very much again, and thank you the audience for this, joining this webinar, and the team ISVM for holding such a good seminar, and in future they will also conduct such seminars. I thank everyone for this. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your valuable lecture, sir.
Thank you.
Sundar? English?